A few months ago, the founders of Subnautica won their first real victory against the publisher known as Krafton. And you'd be forgiven if you thought that was the end of this year-long conflict. However, it turns out that the war is far from over, as there are still several things that hasn't been decided on yet in this ongoing legal drama. Now, before I continue, I should probably give newcomers here the rundown of what is going on, but if you already know the story by now, you can just go ahead and skip to this timestamp right here to where we're currently at. But to recap, first we have the $750 million deal, because you see back in 2021, Krafton, the PUBG folks, bought Unknown Worlds for $500 million. But there was a catch, you see, because there was a $250 million bonus attached to it, which is commonly known as the earnout, and this was on the line if Subnautica 2 hit its revenue targets by the end of 2025. And now, last summer, right as the game was ready for an August launch, Krafton pulled the emergency brake and fired the three pillars of the studio, those being CEO Ted Gill and founders Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire. Now, Krafton here claimed that the game was stale and that the founders were negligent, but in reality, the judge found that Krafton CEO, C.H. Kim, was terrified that actually paying the $250 million he promised would make him look like a pushover to his peers. Imagine thinking that honoring a contract is somehow a weakness. Anyway, Kim here had a master plan, and I can't really believe that I'm saying this, but the CEO of Krafton literally turned to ChatGPT to help him figure out how to dodge the payout. Apparently, the AI told him it would be difficult, so he formed Project X, which was a secret task force designed to undermine fan support for the founders and execute a, hostile takeover. He essentially prompt engineered a corporate assassination. Now, the Delaware Court of Chancery, which is the court that this is playing out in, they didn't buy it because the judge essentially told Krafton that they were rummaging for a pretext and ordered that Ted Gill be reinstated as CEO with full control. And most importantly, the judge extended the bonus deadline by 258 days to account for the time Krafton spent trying to sabotage, the founders. And that was, again, the first real victory that the founders had against Krafton, in that Ted Gill was reinstated as CEO. And just to clarify some things here, because I've seen people being like, oh, the founders are back. Not all the founders are back, mind you. As far as I understand it, the other two are back in limited capacities, but they don't have their previous roles. It's just Ted Gill. That's the leader again, the head of the project, the head of Unknown Worlds. And as I mentioned before, there are several things that are still undecided upon here. For example, the idea that Krafton could possibly be responsible for paying damages for, sabotaging for the project, or sabotaging Subnautica 2, or sabotaging the payout window, and things like that. So if they are found to be responsible for that, they could pay a lot of damages to the developers and the founders. So, I mean, again, the war is not over yet. And just a reminder here, Krafton still owns Unknown Worlds, but there is a couple of things here that has, happened since my previous video on it. So first and foremost, Krafton does no longer appear on the Steam store because, their logo, their name was on the Steam store before, not their logo, but, they were the publisher. But now it says that Unknown Worlds is both the publisher and the developer. And when you check the Steam database, you can actually see that they scrubbed Krafton from the entire thing. So it's very interesting what is going on here. We don't know exactly what happened there, but yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that they're getting scrubbed from the project. Another thing happened after this verdict was given by the judge. And, it's an interesting situation because right after this verdict was given, Krafton came out essentially and announced that the early access of Subnautica 2 was going to be in May, that it was going to release in May. And IGN were actually the ones that reported on this first because they got exclusive access to this the statement. And this was the message that Steve Papoutsis, which was the replacement head that Krafton put in charge of Unknown Worlds before, this is what he said. Team, we want to take a moment to sincerely thank every member of the Unknown Worlds team and our partners. Over the past 9 months, you have worked incredibly hard to bring Subnautica 2 close to the finish line. That effort has resulted in a game we are truly proud of, one that each of us and our partners at Krafton unanimously determined is ready for early access release in May. Thanks to your dedication and talent, we've added more story chapters, built new creatures, and created new biomes along with many other features. With this significant progress, we have passed Krafton's milestone review last week and are now ready to start our open development journey alongside our community. We have full confidence that we have reached a point where we can deliver an experience our players will love. We look forward to working with Ted Gill to support a smooth transition and work toward a successful launch. Our priority is getting this game into the hands of the community that has been eagerly waiting for it, and that means honoring the work you have already done to make that possible. Then Krafton themselves actually confirmed that this statement was true, and they of course told this to IGN. We can confirm that the internal message shared with the Unknown Worlds team is accurate. The team has made meaningful progress following the milestone review approved earlier this month, and has been working toward an early access release in May. While we respectfully disagree with this week's court ruling and intend to explore all legal avenues, our goal is to minimize disruption to the team and to the release plan. We remain committed to an open development approach, working closely with the community as development continues, and are focused on delivering the best possible experience to players. Now, obviously, a lot of people were excited, me included, to see that the game was finally coming out in early access, and as of recording this video, it's just a couple of days left. Speaking of which, I'm gonna react to the trailers at the end of this video because I don't want to end off on just, sad stuff. I want to talk about some cool stuff and have some fun as well. But at any rate, this early announcement, or this announcement of the early access by Krafton and Steve Papoutsis, well, according to Ted Gill, the reinstated CEO, that was not in his plan. Like that, he was not expecting this at all, and so he actually motioned the judge, the Delaware court. I'm going to read it for you. So in this motion, it says, Edward Gill being duly sworn, depose and say as follows. On March 16th, 2026, the court issued its opinion restoring me to my position as CEO of Unknown Worlds. Since the court's opinion, I have regained access to certain company systems, am in the process of working with Krafton to regain access to others, and I've been working expeditiously to re-familiarize myself with the state of Unknown Worlds. As part of that process, I have been working to understand the steps taken in my absence on the development of Subnautica 2 and toward the early access launch of the game. These steps have included meeting with members of the Unknown Worlds team. During my meetings, I have heard from the team about Krafton's leak and confirmation of the May launch window. Unknown Worlds team members who had been working on the studio's launch plans have informed me that they were unaware of Krafton's plan to make such an announcement, and that the announcement was inconsistent with the studio's pre-opinion plan to announce the launch window. So essentially what Ted Gill is saying here in this motion is that after having spoken to other developers that have been working on the game while he was not the CEO anymore, well, this came out of the blue for them. So apparently they just, according to Ted Gill here, they just changed the plans on when to announce it to right as the court ruling happened. So it seems a little iffy here, according to Ted Gill. We have a bunch of redacted things here, or information like screenshots and things like that we can't read here. But Ted continues here saying, I was extremely dismayed to learn from these communications that Krafton had rushed to leak the timeline of the launch after the opinion came out. A successful early access launch requires careful planning and preparation to foster authentic fan participation and support, as the Unknown Worlds team work reflects. Krafton's decision to make the announcement itself in the manner that it did was not in line with best practices and may well undermine the Subnautica 2 launch. So as we can see here from the man himself, he is essentially saying that this was a really shady thing to do by Krafton because he was not included in the decision to announce the early access release. Now you might be wondering what he is motioning for here, and what he's doing is he's essentially asking the judge to bring Krafton back to court and ask them what the hell they're up to. Like, explain yourselves. Why did you choose to announce this before I had a chance to, get my input on it and, come back as the CEO, truly. That was pretty much it. Like, this is what a motion means, is that you're asking the judge to do one thing. Now, the most interesting thing about this motion by Ted Gill is that he actually retracted the motion just a couple of weeks ago. And I've seen people talking about this, oh, why did he retract it? Because essentially you would assume that, maybe they made an error, or Ted Gill made an error, or possibly that somehow maybe Krafton is in the right here somewhere. But that's not necessarily what that means if you retract a motion. It's just at this point, I think it's more of a tactical thing because the cat is out of the bag, right? You can't retract the early access release date now because so many people are excited for it. It's one of the most wish-listed games on Steam. Everybody wants to play Subnautica 2 now. So, I mean, by going on with this motion, it would not only possibly hamper excitement for the game, but as we all know, lawyers are very expensive. So this was assuredly, I'm pretty sure, a tactical decision not to spend any time and money on, complaining about the fact that they had revealed the early access release. It's just going to cost a lot of money just to keep going with it because, and you can't really do anything about it at this point, aside from possibly alleging sabotage for damages again. But at this point, I think this was more of a tactical decision to just let it go and just try to focus on making the release as good as it can be, because he's now back as the CEO. So now he's in charge of doing stuff. It was possibly a shady move by Krafton. We don't really know all the information there. We're probably going to find out later. Still, it's pretty interesting, though, that it seems to me that Krafton is still trying to pull some stuff constantly. But, maybe they didn't. Maybe it was all in fair game. But it was a little odd that they announced the release of Subnautica 2 right when the ruling happened. But, I'm happy that it's coming out in early access myself. And that takes me to the recent footage we've seen, because we've got a new trailer for Subnautica 2, the early access release trailer, and then a dev vlog. So I'm going to check those out and I guess just react to them. Let's try to wash all of this drama down with some positive stuff. Yeah? Okay, let's check it out.
I am Noah. My job is your life. Find a convenient way to die.
Well, damn.
Welcome back, Pioneer. For the sake of all our sleeping friends, we have to learn how to survive.
The nostalgia, man.
No one wants to talk about how we got here. All you need to know is, it's a beautiful place to die over and over again.
Looking like Subnautica for sure.
We've set up a lab here with a few basic biomods. They're safe. But if you start to hear voices, or if you get the urge to swim to the tree, don't go.
Forget your debt. Forget Noah. Forget Altera. Forget the life you imagined. It's all gone now. You're going to die here. And that's all right.
There's more dangerous wildlife than
Interesting thing you can see and explore.
than the original, for sure.
What if that set you free?
Damn.
And I know where this mission will end. You'll join us soon enough.
Yeah, May 14th. 3 days left as of making this video. I just want to share a little thing here to why I fell in love with Subnautica. I remember, I don't know, it was right around when the game came out in early access. It had been out for a couple of months, I think, when I started playing it. I actually got into it before it got popular. Before Jacksepticeye played it, I actually got to try it out. I don't remember. Maybe that's not true. I don't remember. But I have a strong memory of playing it for the first time and just being scared shitless. I just loved it so much. It just has this aesthetic, this feeling that it's supposed to be this cozy underwater game, but it's actually terrifying. It's one of the scariest games I've ever played, honestly. It's just the Reaper Leviathan, man. And the funny thing is, just I think after I had finished the early access, not finished, but I had played through a lot of the early access, I got my girlfriend to actually play it, and she fell in love with Subnautica so much herself. She actually had I think over 100 hours herself, and just, she just went in. She couldn't stop playing it, and it's terrified the hell out of her too, but she absolutely loved just the aesthetics, there's nothing like Subnautica, really. There's no game out there that gives you the feeling that Subnautica does, not according to me, at least. Now, I also want to check out this dev vlog, because I assume that this touches on some of the stuff that has happened with the Krafton situation. So yeah, let's check that out. They kind of have to. Oh yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Anthony Gallegos, design lead on Subnautica 2.
There he is.
It's time. Early access is here. For us, early access means open development. We're kicking off with a strong, playable foundation, the start of a journey that's going to evolve over the next few years until we hit our 1.0 release. What we have on day one is the most ambitious starting point we've ever had. We have more biomes, more creatures, more leviathans, and more craftables and vehicles than any Subnautica early access launch before. The biomes we're starting with are fully explorable, progression-driven, and offer many hours of gameplay, whether you're playing solo or jumping in with your friends in optional multiplayer. But it is early access. Some areas of the game are more polished than others. You may run into bugs. And the full story isn't here yet. But what's in the game is already
just
a
like
strong
the original
representation of where we're heading. We've done this before, and we know how to build these games alongside our players. Early access will run for at least 2 years. During that time, you can expect regular updates. Those updates will include hot fixes when needed, smaller updates focused on balance and polish, and larger updates that will expand the world with new biomes, story content, and progression. Player feedback is a core part of that process. Whether you give that feedback through the in-game tools or places like Discord or Nolt, that input will directly shape what we build next. If you're planning to join the early access journey on Xbox Series consoles, ROG Xbox Ally Series, or Steam Deck, you're good to go. If you're on PC, let's take a quick look at our recommended specs.
Here we go.
As you can see, we're trying to support a diverse range
I can play
of hardware. No hardware ray tracing is required. And this is really just our starting point. We plan to optimize the game even more over early access. Hopefully, this will enable as many of you as possible to join us. The game has been years in the making. And as some of you know, the team has weathered a lot.
Oh yeah.
But let me be clear about something. Despite any rough patches, our goal has always remained the same.
Rough patches,
to deliver
huh?
the best Subnautica experience we can. When it was at its hardest, two things kept us going. One is the excitement of working on the next Subnautica game, and what we have is really special. The other is you. Your endless enthusiasm and excitement drives us to deliver something worthy of the name. At the end of the day, it's the same team focused on building the best Subnautica experience we can.
Very nice.
When you buy the game, you don't just support the franchise, you support Unknown Worlds and all the employees who help bring this to life. Okay, so if you're ready to dive in, early access for Subnautica 2 launches on May 14th, 2026.
Very nice.
You only need to buy the game once for $29.99 at launch, and you'll get every update.
That is
and all
cheap,
our content
man.
Up to 1.0 release and beyond.
But it's early access. Okay.
If that all sounds good to you, I only have one final thing to say. Welcome aboard, captains.
Nice. Very cool. $30? That ain't too bad for a game like Subnautica, man. I gotta touch on one thing more here, and I remember in one of Krafton's previous explanations when they tried to explain, like, well, why did you fire the founders, etc. And one of their reasons was because they thought that a game like Subnautica 2, because the gaming audience is different today. They essentially said that launching a game in early access in a buggy state is not essentially, well, they didn't say that it's not possible anymore, but they said essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you need a game to be more developed this time around. But I don't agree with that sentiment, because Subnautica was crafted together with the players. Like, it was in early access for a pretty long time, but due to the player feedback and due to the, a lot of the additions and things that the devs worked with back then, like that they got from the players, it made a better game at the end of the day. Because I remember so many issues and so many bugs and so many performance issues, and they fixed a lot of that stuff, and they had so many additions that were so cool, and that was partly due to a lot of feedback that players gave them. So Subnautica is the legendary game that it is, not because specifically only because of Unknown Worlds. It's because of the fans working with Unknown Worlds to make the greatest possible underwater game possible. And so I think it's going to be the same as like thing here with Subnautica 2. I think because the fan base mostly expects a game that will be in early access state, that they will help craft essentially. It's not going to be one of those situations where, oh, it's in early access, what a shitty game. I don't think that's a thing that's going to happen here, because so many of the original fans just are so much looking forward to being there and talking and giving suggestions and, essentially building the game together with the devs. I think that's a very, very, very important point to remember, is the legacy of Subnautica as a game that was crafted by the devs and the community. And so, I'm looking forward to this a lot. Can't wait. It's just a couple of days left, man. Subnautica is one of those sci-fi games, because it is technically sci-fi. Underwater exploration games, sure, but it's still sci-fi to me. It's just, oh man, I can't wait for it. And I can't wait to play it with my girlfriend either, because she's also a huge fan of Subnautica. Anyway, I will continue to report on the Krafton versus the Founders situation, and we'll see where the wind blows later on, if there are even more things that are going to be taken up in court. We'll have to wait and see, but remember to subscribe if you're a fan of Subnautica, and if you've enjoyed this reporting, I guess, so far. Thank you for watching. Mr. Alton, signing off.